Welcome to the Medlock Post Radio Show with Richard G. Medlock. The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and are not necessarily the views and opinions of Spreaker.com, its corporations, or other podcast streaming services. Please enjoy the program. Now here is your host, Richard G. Medlock. Hello, this is the Medlock Post Radio Show. And yes, I'm your host, Richard G. Medlock. They can't seem to get rid of me lately. This is a continuation of our program yesterday. We're talking about the rule of law and ruler's law. And this is also where we educate, entertain, enlighten, and empower. And I appreciate many of the comments that have been left on Spreaker, and I've also received some emails, some really good comments that shows that this is information that needs to be talked about. The understanding of the Founding Fathers, a better understanding of the Constitution, a better understanding of the founding of this country and what it has done for the world. Not just American citizens, but for the whole world. And a lot of great comments, and I appreciate that. And also, my email, if you want to reach me there, it's medlockpost@gmail.com. And again, I just ask if you disagree, just be nice about it. I'm open to listening because I'm a firm believer of sitting down or having a conversation with someone of opposing views and just understand better why you feel that way, why I feel that way, and actually learn things. And if we could do more of that, than actually just shutting people off and censoring people, we would be a better society. We could go back to better days that we've had in this country. All right. Even though this is a continuation from yesterday, I would like to start with a monologue. That's just going to be part of the show unless it's an unusual circumstance. Never before in the history of our country has there been a greater need for all of our people to take a little time to discover what is happening in the world. Every day, decisions are being made affecting the lives of millions of human beings. We now need, as much as during any crisis, the kind of courageous leadership which J.W. Hamilton called for when he said, quote, "How much now we need a leadership that will tell the truth and straight talk, not about what is expedient or even what is advantageous to American interests, but about what is everlastingly right, and call our people to a crusade for it, and pledge America to the defense of it, so that all nations will be convinced that we mean it. We need men who will ignore the consequences, tell the truth, and take a long chance with God," unquote. George Washington gave us some counsel on this. Quote, "Truth will ultimately prevail where there is pains to bring it to light," unquote. Such leadership must not be expected merely from those who serve in high offices. This is the kind of leadership we should be cultivating at every level, among parents, teachers, students, judges, the various professions, businessmen, laborers, technicians, ministers. All of us need to join a crusade to develop men and women who talk straight, tell the truth, and who are willing to take a course deserving of God's blessings. This is my opening monologue. Now, let's continue. America, we're just facing a lot of challenges here. And we need to overcome them. We've done it in the past, and we will do it this time. It's just, I think the challenges here are coming at us a little more strongly and a little more organized than in the past. So that means that we who believe in truth and are willing to fight for truth and for what is right and to stand by the principles of the Constitution need to be better organized. So think about that for a while and how you can do that and how we can do that. And I'd love to hear from you in your emails, some of your thoughts on that. So let's start today. I'm going to address basically two things today because of time, and then the next program will just be a continuation of what has gone. We'll include education, current events, and hopefully some entertainment. Again, I'm warning you, I do get sarcastic, and so bear with me on that. All right. For those who do not understand the meaning of rights, we need to make it clear once and for all. The Second Amendment does not apply to semi-automatic rifles, nor does it apply to bolt-action rifles, pistols, or revolvers. The Second Amendment restricts government. Let me repeat that. The Second Amendment restricts government. The technology of the firearm is totally irrelevant here. The restrictions on the government remain the same, regardless of the firearm. The Second Amendment was not written to grant permission for citizens to own and bear arms. The Second Amendment says it forbids the government interference in the right to own and bear arms. Forbids the government. Period. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, this applies to all other rights. They are not granted. They stipulate inherent rights that the government may not prohibit. So I hope you understand that. The Constitution was written to limit the powers of the government that we the people give to them. But the government over the last 100+ years have flip-flopped that. And they keep taking and taking and taking power away from the people. That needs to stop. Now, there's a lot of discussion on how that's going to stop. And we can discuss that other times. Now, let's talk about this proposed gun control bill that a bipartisan committee in the Senate has been working on and put together. It's called the gun control bill. The key word here is control. Control. Just the opposite of what we're just talked about. Shall not be infringed. Now, understand. The mass murder of innocent children or mass murder of people anywhere, by people, whether they're mentally ill or hateful or whatever, is abhorrent to me. And we can look at all kind of reasons why this is taking place. A system that's set up to let people like that just walk around and be able to get guns is part of the problem. The problem is not the gun. You know, I could put my guns out on the front porch every day, and I guarantee you none of those guns will just see somebody they don't like and shoot them. A gun can't do that. It's an inanimate object until it's in the hands of somebody that wants to do evil with it or defend themselves. I'm trying to clarify things here. Now, I'm sure there's some people out there might be saying, wait a minute, Richard's going totally against what I believe. We need to do away with all guns. We need to stop all killings. Well, I don't know how you're going to stop all killings. I really don't. Because hatred and evil is in this world, and it's going to stay until, in the Christian belief, Christ returns. All right. But let's also make something else very clear. The Democratic Socialist, some of you people call them Democrats or the left, I call them Democratic Socialists, want to do away with the Second Amendment, period. And I'm going to read you some quotes from the Founding Fathers to show you why they set this up. The Second Amendment is in there. But before we get to those quotes, 10 GOP senators were placed on this committee by Mitch McConnell. Actually, they volunteered to do this. John Cornyn and Mitch McConnell put this committee together. So there's actually 11 GOP senators that are now in favor of taking away your Second Amendment rights. Now, one thing about this gun control bill, there's not one thing in there, not one thing out of the 8 laws that they're talking about that will stop a mass murder event. Not one thing. But anyway, here are the 10, or actually 11, GOP senators putting together with 10 Democratic senators, Democrat Socialist, John Cornyn, Mitt Romney, Tom Tillis, Susan Collins, Senators Blunt, Burr, Cassidy, Portman, and Toomey. Now, Tillis is out of North Carolina. And our own South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. Now, I could do a whole show on Lindsey Graham. But here, what is so surprising about Lindsey Graham being part of this? I guess he just wanted to be on a committee again and get his name in the paper. I don't know. But Lindsey Graham, over and over and over, has voted against funding red flag laws. And red flag laws is a main component of this gun control bill. Hold on to that thought. We're going to talk about red flag laws. But it was interesting, and today is June 18th, 2022. And we had the program yesterday on the 17th. And I keep telling you, things are moving so fast, your head is spinning. So it was a report yesterday afternoon that Senator John Cornyn got up and walked out of the committee and making a comment that, we just can't get anywhere. Negotiations, I just can't take it anymore. And he left. So everybody's going, oh, great, maybe there's some hope here. Maybe this thing will fall apart. Well, then this morning, there's a news article that Cornyn left the meeting so he could go to Texas and attend and speak at the Texas GOP convention. Had nothing to do, I don't think, with his feeling of what was going on with the negotiations in the gun control committee. And guess what? He spoke for 20 minutes. He got booed the whole 20 minutes, and a chant started that's saying that it was no gun control for 20 minutes. Now, there are reports that he was afterwards pretty upset. And supposedly, okay, I don't know if it's true or not, I'm not going to be pushed around by mobs. So, like I say, that's kind of a third-party thing. So I don't know if it's... But Senator Cornyn, the people that were booing you are the people that elected you in office. And they are we the people that give you power. And they're telling you that you have overstepped your bounds to try to do gun control. This is the messages that should be going out to these 11 senators, including Mitch McConnell. So let's just get your perspective together on what Washington is pretending to do to stop mass murders or any murders. Nothing they have done in the last 20 years has stopped anything. They tried to ban the AR-15. Well, you know, Beto O'Rourke, but the judge, out of Texas, he's running for Texas governor, just a democratic socialist, true blue, and he wants to. He's told us, I'm going to come take your AR-15s away. Well, good luck with that. But now he's come up with something, and he says, well, you know, I'm going to trade. Let's work out a compromise here. I'll trade you your AR-15 for an AR-10. And that way, it's 5 ARs less than what you have. Now, folks, I hope you understand that's sarcasm. There are no AR-10s. Okay. But this is just showing the lack of common sense about that. There are so many. Here's one thing. People have been asking for this change year after year after year after year. Mental health professionals and doctors cannot report that a person they are treating for mental health or mental illness, they cannot report that these people are a threat to others, themselves, or society. we've been begging for that change to put that into the system so that when a background check is taken, they're trying to buy a weapon, they can't do it. They're flagged. It's just like a felon. Someone that's a felon cannot buy a gun. Well, that's in the system. Should we not put the other in the system? That would prevent them from legally buying a weapon. Now, folks, you and I both know, if you want a weapon, you can get a weapon. Remember the shooter for Sandy Hook? Yeah, I know you do. Where did he get his guns? He stole them. They were stolen. And of course, the media went out there, he's shooting up using AR-15, Well, he didn't have a rifle. He had one, but where was it? It was in the trunk of his car. They found it there after the shooting and after he was arrested. So the media, did they ever backtrack that story that he used a rifle? No. Excuse me, assault weapon. No, they never backtracked that story. Even though police were putting out there, he didn't use a rifle. He used handguns. So you see, the message with the politicians and the media is going out what they want you to hear. They want you so afraid that you will want to do anything you will to stop these things. Well, there's two combinations here that should never be used in making decisions. Fear and emotions. When you put those two together to start making decisions, it comes out bad. And that's what they've worked up so many people about. Now, go out there and demonstrate. Let's protect the schools. Let's secure the schools. They're a gun-free zone. That's just an open door for people to go in. They talk. The politicians talk about protecting the children, but they're not doing it. So anyway, Cornine left to go to a GOP convention, and it didn't turn out well for him there. The chant was no gun control. No gun control. Leave our guns alone. All right, let's talk about the red flag laws for a minute. Or two, or more. Red flag laws is nothing but a law that would give the government an open door policy of abuse. Now you say, whoa, wait a minute. What do you mean abuse? Well, look at some of the red flag laws that have been passed and have been shot down by the Constitution as unconstitutional. You don't like somebody's political views, so you can call up the police and say, this guy's insane, or he's a threat to society, and he's got guns in his house. Well, the police go out without a warrant, without anything except a phone call, and they go out, arrest the person, take their guns away, and go put them in jail for a little bit, and then find out there's nothing wrong with this guy. But they don't give his guns back. Fourth Amendment thrown out the window. Ruler's law. We do what we want to do. And we need to control the people. So this is what we're going to do. I know I'm probably getting some of you upset or riled up or whatever. And if I am, I hope you're getting riled up. I hope you're getting to the point you're saying, this is wrong. Our government is overstepping the bounds. They're ignoring the Constitution, and in some cases on purpose. And you'll hear more when we get into the oil and gas situation. Oh, that'll turn you around a little bit. We are, where's my sheet? Okay. Yeah, there it is. I'm almost organized here. Here's some quotes from our founding fathers. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know, please understand that Karl Marx and Mao Zedong are not founding fathers. Okay? They are not our founding fathers. Some people would like you to believe that, especially Karl Marx. Now, Thomas Jefferson, and all of you, or most of you, have probably heard some of these quotes or read them. Thomas Jefferson, quote, "No free man shall ever be disbarred the use of arms," unquote. Very simple. No free man. George Washington, quote, "When any nation mistrusts its citizens with guns, it is sending a clear message. It no longer trusts its citizens because such a government has evil plans," unquote. Now, you say, well, why would they say that? Because they lived at a time when the world was controlled by monarchs and despots and dictators and tyrants. And they fought a revolution to get away from that. They knew of evil governments that were not there to help the people, but to control the people, to make slaves out of them. James Madison, quote, "Oppressors can tyrannize only when they achieve a standing army, an enslaved press, and a disarmed populace," unquote. Tyranny can only prosper, folks, when they have all the control. And I like the way he put this, an enslaved press. Shall we start calling our media today enslaved press? They're only doing what they're told to say and do. They don't go out and do any reporting. It's propaganda. That was James Madison. He has one more quote here. Quote, "A man has a property in his opinions and the free communication of them," unquote. A man has a property of his opinions and free communication. That's under rule of law. Under ruler's law, that's taken away. Oh, you can have your opinions, you just can't express them. And we're going to do something, we're going to indoctrinate you or punish you or something till your opinions are ours. We're going to squash you under ruler's law. But under rule of law, free to have them, free to express them. That's what I said earlier. Let's have a conversation. What do you believe? What do I believe? What do I value? What do you value? Come to an understanding, even though you still disagree. But I can still be your friend. I've got plenty of friends I don't agree with. But we're friends, and we talk about things. We don't get in food fights at restaurants because we disagree on things. We just understand each other. George Washington again, quote, "When government takes away citizens' right to bear arms, it becomes citizens' duty to take away government's right to govern." Unquote. Now, there are some out there that say he didn't say this. Yes, he did. The Declaration of Independence said this. When abuses are taking place, the citizens, we the people, have the right to change government. Whether it's bearing arms, freedom of speech, overtaxation, etc., etc. So that can take in a lot of things. But here he's referring to bear arms. Whether he said these particular words or not doesn't matter. The Declaration of Independence and the Constitution says this. Thomas Paine, I'm going to hold that one. James Madison again, quote, "A government resting on the minority is an aristocracy, not a republic, and could not be safe with a numerical and physical force against it without a standing army, an enslaved press, and a disarmed populace." Matter of fact, that was part of the quote I read earlier. Noah Webster, quote, "Before a standing army can rule, the people must be disarmed, as they are in almost every kingdom of Europe." I remember when this was, back at the beginning of the country. "The supreme power in America cannot force unjust laws by the sword, because the whole body of the people are armed and constitute a far superior to any band of regular troops that can be on the pretense raised in the United States." Unquote. So again, basically, we the people have the power, and we the people with the right to bear arms protect those rights and that power. That's not hard to understand. James Monroe, quote, "Of the liberty of conscience in matters of religious faith of speech, and of the press, and the trial by jury of the vicarage and civil and criminal cases, of the benefit of the writ of habeas corpus, and of the right to keep and bear arms, if these rights are well defined and secured against encroachment, it is impossible that government would ever degenerate into tyranny." Let me summarize this. He's saying freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, to be truthful, like I read in my opening monologue, justice, trial by jury, proper justice, habeas corpus, and the right to keep and bear arms will keep a government from degenerating into tyranny. There's a lot of people out there today, and I'm included, that the government in Washington, D.C. today, not the Constitution. Constitution's being ignored. But the government, those in control, and I'm saying Democrat and Republican, that they are down a road of tyranny. Now, their guise is, oh, this is for the greater good. It's to protect children. It's to protect senior citizens. It's da-da-da-da-da. No, it's to give them more power. Let's go back to Thomas Paine. And ladies and gentlemen, if you've never read Common Sense by Thomas Paine and some of his other writings, I really, really encourage you to do that. He was very influential in forming this country. Quote, "Those who expect to reap the blessings of freedom must, like men, undergo the fatigues of supporting it." That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It takes effort. It takes sweat and tears to stay free. We just celebrated Memorial Day a few weeks ago and honored the men and women in uniform that gave the ultimate sacrifice, that paid the ultimate debt, as Abraham Lincoln said, to keep freedom in America and other parts of the world. It's a daily effort to maintain that freedom. All right. I appreciate your patience with this. Yeah, I do get worked up because I'm a patriot. I love America. I love the flag. And I love the Constitution. And what I've seen happen over the last few decades just breaks my heart. Now, let's talk about inflation and the gas crisis. I went back and looked this morning. Matter of fact, I went and filled up this morning. $4.49 a gallon. Now I'm sure it's more or less in other areas of the country. I'm in upstate South Carolina. And that was at a Costco. So it's 10, 15 cents cheaper than other stations. That was March 12th, 2020. It was $1.79. Today, $4.49. An increase of 151%. Now, you wonder why the price of everything else is going up. And it's due to gas. It's got to be transported. The farmers have to use gas in their plows and their machines, etc., etc., etc. You understand that. You know how capitalism works. But what has happened in the last few days is a man has stood at a podium and threatened the oil companies. You know who I'm talking about. And this man stood there and said, stop making profits and start producing more oil. We talked about that a little bit on the show yesterday and can go over some of this again today. However, when I heard this, or actually I read it, I sat there and started thinking about communism, socialism, Cuba, Venezuela, countries like that. And I said, is he setting up these countries or these companies for the government to take them over because they're not doing what he wants them to do? In Venezuela, Hugo Chavez nationalized every business in Venezuela. Now, a lot of oil companies just left. So he went in and all the corporate people from America or wherever they were from. He ran them out and put his people in to run these corporations, whether it's oil and gas. And he was one of the top producers. We bought a lot of his oil here, mainly because his is a thicker crude, and we have the only refineries in the world that can process it. But anyway, that's beside the point. So I'm sitting here thinking, this smells like nationalizing an industry or the government going in and basically taking over. They did this in the banking industry under Obama. That's a different story too. But they did that. And my banker friends, Obama put people at every bank to oversee everything that took place, and literally would not let them loan money to their best borrowers that have never missed a payment. But anyway, it's another story. So here, I'm thinking this, and I said, man, are they going to do that? So I'm watching Larry Kudlow on Fox Business Wednesday. Thursday. They started talking about this very thing, because this man that sits on the high castle is sitting there threatening the oil companies. If you don't do what I tell you, etc., etc. Here's the problem with that, Mr. Man in the high castle. The reason production is down is because you've shut off their sources. You've withdrawn leases. You shut down any drilling on any federal land, Alaska included. You shut down a couple of pipelines, not the one to be built, but the ones that were flowing. You've come out here and restricted with your regulations, with your executive orders, limiting what they can do. And now you want to come out and blame them for the problem that you created yourself sitting in your high castle. And thinking, hey, we'll just take this to the next step under ruler's law, and if you don't start doing what we want you to do, and you solve this problem and bring gas prices down, then we'll just take you over and we'll do it ourselves. I don't even want to think about that disaster at that point. Now, Exxon, which he mentioned, Exxon came back strong with a statement. So did a couple of other oil companies, because they know what's going on. They know that you have tied our hands. And then the American Petroleum Industry, the API, came out yesterday with a 10-point proposal to get this straightened out. Now, one is lift development restrictions on federal lands and waters. Yes, that's what you shut down. Designate critical energy infrastructure projects. They need to increase the infrastructure. They need the pipelines. They haven't built a new refinery in this country since the 1970s. They haven't built a new nuclear power plant since the 70s, maybe early 80s. Talking about clean energy. And they've got that technology down so good now, it's not a 3 Mile Island situation anymore. Fix the National Environmental Policy Act to have some uniformity out there and reduce bureaucratic burdens. Number 4, accelerate natural gas exports and approve pending LNG applications, liquid natural gas. I'm not going to go through all the details. You can look it up. It's online. The APA proposal, 10 proposals. Unlock investment and access to capital. The Securities and Exchange Commission tied things up. Let's untie them, folks. Number 6, dismantle supply chain bottlenecks. A lot of people feel that these bottlenecks are created on purpose. Hang on to that thought. Hang on to that thought. Number 7, advance lower carbon energy tax provisions. Congress should expand and extend Section 45Q tax credits for carbon capture. All right. Now, I can't fully explain that, and you can look it up. Number 8, protect competition and the use of refining technologies. Again, go read all this stuff. Number 9, end permitting obstruction of natural gas projects. Obstruction. In the way. Blocking here. Stop it. Number 10, advance the energy workforce of the future. Congress and Biden have just stood in the way of getting people trained and educated through the STEM program to work in this industry. That's crazy, isn't it? It is really crazy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what a day. What a time that we live in. And it's very simple. I'll keep repeating this. It's time for Americans to stand up and speak up. Many of us are doing that. This is why I've gone back to the radio. I've expanded from the blog to the radio so I can have a greater reach in education and enlightenment and empowerment. So think about the things I tell you. Again, my email is medlockpost@gmail.com if you want to email. And feel free, you can put comments on Spreaker when you listen to the program. And you have to watch it. If you get nasty on there, they'll block your comment. So, but I've gotten some great comments. I appreciate your support. Ladies and gentlemen, let's call it a day. I will do another show Monday, and we'll just keep bringing you what we feel like you need to know about this. So rule of law versus ruler's law. And I talked about that seesaw and the shift that it's taking away from people's law, which the founding fathers called it, people's law. So we'll continue with this. So, folks, that's the show for today, the Medlock Post, and we will be with you next Monday. Thank you.